Welcome back to Ask Uncle Lee. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments to one of the Ask Uncle Lee videos and I'll add it to the list. We definitely need more, so just keep them coming. Any questions about the topic on this channel? Occultism, demonolatry, witchcraft, magic, spirituality, all of that stuff. Okay, but let's get into today's questions. All right, so the first question is from Kiowata1. This is actually relating to an Ask Uncle Lee I did called Movies, Worship and Dragons. The question is, should we be tolerant of an intolerant system, in this case Christianity? These films reinforce ignorance and dogma. So one thing I did mention in that video was that, we have all of these films that bring in demons and all of this stuff, and it's all from a Christian perspective, and therefore the demons are portrayed as being evil and trying to bring ruin to humans, etc., etc. Now, that's just purely a Christian perspective, but at the same time, what they don't realize is that they are giving attention to these particular spirits. And you'll find that if, this is kind of like the bad press type of idea. There's no such thing as bad press, because if somebody speaks badly about you or your creation, whether it's a book or a movie or whatever it is, if people criticize it and speak badly about it, you'll probably find more and more people actually want to go and find out for themselves. So they're going to buy your book or see your movie or whatever it is. And so, when it comes to these movies, they're bringing attention to these spirits. And I think the worst, people love the bad news. They love all the gory details and everything else. So the gorier it is, the more people actually want to find out. They want to go and see for themselves, type of thing. Same idea of if there's an accident on the road, there's usually another accident that comes along because of watchers. People just slowly driving by and trying to get a look at the gory crash and the blood and everything else and guts all over the road and whatnot. And then there's usually another accident because of stupid people. But that's basically what's happening here. So they're really bringing more attention to the spirits themselves. People then want to go find out, and then they eventually, hopefully, some of them come across people like me who, actually give them the truth about the whole deal. So it's actually really a good thing, to be totally honest with you. But yes, okay, so the portrayal, they are completely intolerant. But at the same time, you have to think of this from their perspective as well. If you were in their shoes, if this, let's just, as a thought experiment, let's say that this channel, my channel, is a fundamentalist Christian channel, and you ask the question, should we be tolerant of an intolerant system? Now, the intolerant system here would be those who are not Christian, right? And should we be tolerant of them? The answer is going to be no. But then we switch it back to reality. And should we be tolerant of an intolerant system, namely Christianity? No. Why should we be? But at the same time, why should we waste our energy on it? So, it depends. If you want to keep going after them, what's going to happen is you're going to go after them. They are then going to come after you. They're going to bring their friends. They have, especially on the internet, they actually have groups that they can reach out to, and the entire group comes along and starts attacking you. And then that's all it becomes. That's why I ignore these people on my channel. I delete their comments. And if anybody's watching this and they have seen, if any of these people have commented directly on your comment, then please just ignore them. Let me know which video it was on, and I will go and delete the comment, because I really cannot be bothered to spend any energy on these people. I have lots and lots of energy to spend on lots and lots of different things, good things, like bringing good information, hopefully, creating more content that people enjoy and they like and they learn from and they get something from. But I'm really not going to be bothered to waste my energy going after these people, because first of all, I'm not going to be able to change their mind. It's already set. And secondly, if I do, they're going to come after me, and then it's going to be, I'm going to have to go after them, and then they're going to come after me, and then it's just going to be, that's all the channel's going to end up being, and that's boring as hell. And I really can't be bothered to do that. All right, so should we be tolerant? No, I suppose to a certain extent, yes, because we want them to be tolerant of us, therefore, be the better person type of thing. Start the process. If they shut you down, they shut you down. Move on. Don't bother wasting your energy with them. Just move on. All right? Because that's all you're going to be doing. If they shut you down, they're not going to listen to you. Reject them, push them away, and move on to somebody who might. That's just wasting energy, wasting time, everything. But yeah, I mean, if we want them to be tolerant of us, then we have to be tolerant of them. And I'm not really sure tolerance is the right word. It's accepting. It's, to tolerate something isn't really accepting it. It's just, kind of saying, okay, well, it's there. I don't like it. I don't accept it. I don't want it, but I'll put up with it. So tolerate is probably a bad word. Let's say accept. So if you want them to accept us or you, then you have to start the process of accepting them. And maybe, majority of them won't see it, but maybe somebody will see it and say, oh, hang on, this person's actually a nice person. Maybe I've got something wrong. And they'll like stop, stand back, listen. Who knows? You don't know. But as I said, if they're shut off and their mind's made up and they shut you down immediately, they don't want to listen to you, then just reject them. Just push them away and move on. It's no good wasting your energy. All right. Bit of ramble about that. Okay, next question is from Penelope Greer, 5073. As far as higher vibrations go, I'm not one of those light and love people who brightens up every room and people gravitate towards them, but I'm not all dark and shadows either. Can someone like me raise their vibrations, knowing that part of who they are is, for lack of a better term, left-hand path? Yes, of course you can. These are two completely separate, different topics. Quite often these love and light people are actually quite toxic. So that I would not consider them to be of a higher vibration, if we can put it in those terms. Sure, they may consider themselves to be higher vibrational, but usually it's in a sense of they are better than everybody else because they have reached enlightenment. They don't even know what the hell they're doing in life. They don't even know what this idea of enlightenment is to begin with. So no, I wouldn't actually consider them to, or these two things to be all related at all. When we're talking about raising your vibration, we can either be in this state which is of a lower vibration, where we are possibly picking up depression, anxiety. We are attracting negative energy, and therefore we're attracting negative people. We are attracting negative attitudes, like we hate ourselves. We want to just die. All those depressive attitudes, thoughts, and everything else that start to come along with it. That's being in a lower vibrational state. But what we can do is we can work to raise that vibration. And what that means is just bringing ourselves out of that sludge, out of that negative state, and bringing ourselves up into a higher vibrational state. And this is where language gets a bit difficult, because it's not really, we think of power hierarchies. We've got this lower and higher is better than lower. It's not the case of it being better. It's just, what do you want to be in? What do you want to live? How do you want to live? How do you want to be? How do you want to think? How do you want to feel? Do you want to be in that state where all you're thinking about is harming yourself and harming other people and all of that stuff? Or do you want to be in a place where you are happy and abundant and, going about your day? You don't have to be like the center of attention or love and light and all of that stuff. Just content, happy with who you are and what you're doing. And that's what we're talking about, raising your vibrational state. But it also brings yourself out of the place where you attract astral parasites, because they're of a low vibrational entity, and bringing yourself into a higher vibrational state, like tuning a radio. And you then start to attract different types of spirits, not the lower vibrational astral parasites, but the daemons, the angels, the gods and the goddesses of different pantheons, whatever you're working with, whatever you personally are working with. And that may not even include those. It may just be the various planetary energies. And then when we're talking about that, we're talking about, even when we're talking about the divine intelligences, they are of a negative and a positive perspective. I don't really want to use the word vibration here, because that's then going to start confusing things. But they are still positive and negative. They are constructive and destructive. They are, they create things and they destroy things. But that has nothing to do with vibrational state. That's just balance. It's equilibrium. So, even then it's a completely different topic again, but it's about raising your vibration, bringing yourself out of that sludge, out of the place where we're attracting astral parasites that are trying to drain us of energy for food, bringing ourselves into a state where I'm sorry, I'm going to just change the storyline. You have a group of friends who are very negative. They are always talking negatively, thinking negatively. They are always getting into trouble. They're getting arrested. They're doing drugs and drinking, and they don't care. They're just like, if they get arrested, they don't really give it down. They're just these people that kind of bring you down all the time. And you know what I mean by bring you down. And that's the company you're keeping. Okay, that's the same as being in a low vibrational state and being in this place in the sludge, where you're attracting astral parasites. Then what you do, you decide that you create this business, and you find that it's not going anywhere because you are constantly around these people who keep bringing you down. And because they're bringing you down, you just don't have the energy to put into the business. You can't think straight. You're just depressed the whole time. You just doom and gloom. The business is going to fail no matter what you do, okay? But you enjoy this business. You like it. You thought at one point it was a great idea. And therefore, you want it to improve and increase and become abundant and bring you a good lifestyle. So what do? Reject that group of friends and start associating with people who are positive, who are business people, who are making money, possibly are filthy, filthy rich. And what happens then is you start to mingle with these people and they have a particular energy which surrounds you, and then you start to resonate at that particular vibration. So your vibrational state then changes. This is lower to higher. This is what we're talking about. It's not really this lower and higher as in a hierarchy thing. It's just from one state to another state. And that's really what we're talking about here. And it's got nothing to do with love and light or dark and shadows. It's just got to do with what vibrational state you want to exist in. And that's what you decide to be in. Okay. think that was a pretty good example. That should work. Okay. All right, going on to the final question of the month of January from Gills666. I have recently purchased an ancient item that's related to my heritage. Won't go into details, but suffice it to say some people sell these things just like you would be able to buy a bone of a dinosaur with specialized dealers, etc. I would like to tap into the energy of this if possible. It's a carving of something resembling Atlas, feet, and some wheels that are on the soles of the feet. There was Greek influence from that area on a rock tablet. I want to get my ancestors' conquering energy and willpower, and I'm wondering if this object can be used for such. Yes, you did send me a picture of this as well. And if this came from your ancestors, if it's, you said it's related to your heritage, yes, you can. If it's a genuine item, sorry, I'm just thinking of two different ways you could have gotten this, either through your own family or through, as you said, a dealer. But if it's still related to your heritage, to your culture, then yes, you can. You can tap into the energy of the thing itself. Everything holds memory. It was William Gray who did the roll right ritual. For trying to remember now, he actually took a Y-shaped branch and he put it against his head, the wide part, and then the point was going forward. He put it against his head and he rested the point against one of the stones, and he read the stone through this method. So basically, it's a case of tethering to the item, to the object, and then reading its history, its memory. There is a way you can do this. I learned in Practical Kabbalah, and it's called identification. If you go through Jacobus G. Swart's books, it's mentioned in his first book, Book of Self-Creation. The exercise is actually explained in there. It's taught in there. It's called identification, and the basic idea is that everything has an nefesh, a lower self, and that includes objects like the stone tablet or the rock tablet that you got, trees, etc., etc., etc. So what you do is you connect or tether your nefesh to the nefesh of the object, and you kind of enter the object itself. So your nefesh comes out of you, goes into the item, the object, the tree, whatever it is. In this case, the rock tablet, goes into it and intermingles, becomes one with the nefesh of the object, and then through that you have access to all of its memories, its feelings, its emotions, everything that's experienced, and then you pull yourself out again, your nefesh comes back into your own body, you disconnect from the object. But you can do it that way. And then what you can do is, once you have that, you can then connect with your ancestors through various techniques, rituals, methods. One is just journeying to the ancestral realm, talking to your ancestors, making an ancestral altar so you can keep a connection going, you give them offerings. And you can do something called tapping the bone. There is information on the internet about that. It's a slightly more advanced traditional witchcraft method where you actually you go through a particular ritual with a skull which represents the ancestors. You tap the bone, as in tap the skull itself. Go through a particular ritual and then move into the ancestral realm in that way and speak to the ancestors directly. So yes, you can get your ancestors' conquering energy and willpower through that method. I don't think you necessarily need to identify or do identification with the tablet itself. You can have it in your possession when you do the journey to your ancestors. That would almost create the link between you and your ancestors. So you can put it on your ancestral altar, you can do offerings. That would be your kind of link. What I would do is I would call out to the mother, the Desir, and just introduce yourself, get to know the seer of your own line, your ancestral line, whatever that may look like. And that comes through as like a motherly figure. And then you can connect with that particular entity and go directly to them, and then speak to whichever ancestors you need to in order to attain the knowledge you want. So yeah, it's all to do with ancestral veneration at the end of the day. But yes, you can definitely use that to connect with, because it's part of your culture. Just to use it to connect with the culture itself that your ancestors were connected to, and therefore get a connection with your ancestors. All right, that's it for this week and this month, and I'll be back with more hopefully next month. Have a good one until then. Cheerio. Bye bye.